We are visiting room 10 to see an exhibit on courtesy. May I present Mrs. Anderson and her son Bill, who is
yes,
in the
you
class. They too have come to watch to see if the people actually display courtesy. Watch how Pete and Marion act as host and hostess.
Why is everybody dressed like it's a
showing respect, thinking of the other
winter
person,
outing?
Real friendliness. When
Don't
Pete
touch
mentions
me.
the neat job Bill did on the exhibit, Bill is pleased. That's courtesy at work.
Look how pleased he
You can
is.
see, too, that everyone in the class must have done a great deal of thinking about courtesy and much work to prepare these posters and the rest of the exhibit.
Be courteous, don't be a pig. God!
Bill is especially proud of his part in the exhibit.
Come look at this, Mom.
This large poster, ways to show that we are thinking of other people. We hope to make our meetings with other people courteous.
You did that?
By using such
Oh my
words
God, I
as
gotta get you in a
please.
boarding school
Whenever
quick.
we ask for anything, it shows our friendliness and courtesy if we ask with please. On the other hand, thank you is a simple way to repay those who do things for you.
Thank you.
Another expression we need all the time is excuse me.
Excuse
It lets other
me!
people know that you are thinking of them when you say,
Look at those
"Excuse
arms."
me." Still, another way to smooth your meetings with other people is, may I? If you
May
must
I
interrupt,
tempt
2
you
words
with
will
a
show that you
lady?
mean well. Simply, may I? Notice how pleasant and thoughtful Mrs. Anderson is as she expresses interest in Bill's ideas on the poster.
She's bored
Bill
out of her fucking
graciously
mind.
shares the credit with his classmates. It was a joint project, he explains.
There were a lot
During
of
their
joints.
study of courtesy. While Pete and Marion posed, Bill sketched the action.
Draw me like one of your French girls.
Please.
Well, you don't have to say the word for him to write
With
it
that
in!
sketch finished, ready for final
Done.
artwork, Pete got ready to play the
Oh my
guest
God.
for the next pose. Marion was the hostess, offering him a cookie.
Thank you.
Pete showed that he appreciated her kindness.
All right, let me get this, okay, kindness. Let me draw that in there. There we go, kindness.
For the next demonstration, they needed another chair to make a...
This is the worst production of Our Town I've ever seen.
Joan played the other girl in conversation with Marion. Marion had to interrupt to answer the phone.
Please excuse me.
She was pleasant.
Marion
and
looks like
courteous
she's-
as she excused herself.
47. And I can say that because,
In the
never
next
mind.
pose, Marion had something important to say, or else she wouldn't have interrupted.
May I?
Marion
I
is
don't know!
considerably
May
fat.
you?
Besides these examples of courtesy, there are others. For instance, Mrs. Anderson's way of constructive suggestion. And notice how Bill begins his reply.
Oh my God, I gotta get my son in a boarding
It's
school.
really quite good, Bill. But don't you think these courteous ways can be used in more than just these 4 situations?
Oh, yes, you're right, Mother. That's why we put the captions on the poster. We need them all the time.
Yeah, it was in big block letters, Mom, didn't
Yes,
you see?
we do need these simple expressions all the time to show that we are thinking of the other person.
Come look at
On
this.
the table
This is a real
is
crappy
scrapbook,
thing.
especially prepared for the exhibit. It also
Thinking of
shows
the other person,
consideration of
invitations.
The other person.
Telephone
The exact
courtesy.
form of an invitation letter may vary, but this is an example.
Dear parents, an exhibit of our schoolwork and courtesy will be held in room 10 of the Sunnyside School on May 29th from 7:30 to 9 p.m.
I'll put that in my
We
cell
hope
phone.
you can come. Your friends, the class of room 10.
I hope I
Notice
can
the
come.
details
That sounds like a
about
humdinger
place,
of a
date,
time.
and time, as well as a few words of cordial invitation. This type of invitation needs no acceptance, but the class prepared an example of one for their scrapbook.
Dear friends, we thank you very much for the invitation to your exhibit in room 10 of the Sunnyside School on May 29 from 7:30 to 9 p.m. We shall be pleased to see your work on courtesy.
In quotation marks.
Yours, your parents.
See your work on
A letter of
courtesy.
acceptance shows all the same details to be sure they are correct.
Your parents.
There
Wait till you
is
see
also
this.
a sample letter
It's
of
Farrah
regret
Fawcett. Oh.
stating why the person could not accept. On the next few pages of
We
the
won't talk about
scrapbook
that one.
are drawings and poems Pete had made about courtesy when using the telephone.
Ooh. Pete's got to work on his body shapes a little bit
Don't
more.
keep the other person waiting.
When the telephone rings, come to answer on wings in the afterlife. Use a pleasant
Friendliness is one
tone
of
on the
main parts of
telephone.
courtesy.
His arms are coming out of his head. Make your message clear for the other to hear.
It saves time.
No, I will
and
not
makes
go
your
out with you.
conversation more pleasant if you speak distinctly.
Say what you will, then keep still. What does that mean?
It's courteous to be brief. Someone else may want to use the telephone.
Goodbye, loser.
So much for the scrapbook.
So much for the scrapbook.
Over here
Right
is a
into the
poster
trash
that
can.
Another student made. Be a good listener.
What?
It pleases the speaker to know you are really interested in him.
Especially if they're a ghost
By
with
listening carefully.
no body.
Mrs. Anderson is being a good listener now, isn't she?
She's feigning
There's
interest.
the matter of introduction.
She can't wait to get home to
How
that
will
special
Bill
little bottle she
introduce
has.
his mother and his teacher.
Mother,
Oh, here we go.
May I present Miss Barton, our teacher?
See how Bill shows respect to his mother by mentioning her first. Because she is the older woman, he presents Miss Barton to her. And he helps their conversation get started by explaining who Miss Barton is.
She's sleeping with Dad, too. What do you
Bill
think?
has told me how much he enjoys your class. He's learned so much about courtesy. How did you teach him to make such a polite introduction?
Perhaps Bill should explain that, Mrs. Anderson.
Because I don't
Well,
remember.
in our practice in class, we learned that introducing people was just a matter of showing respect.
And I introduced you first because you're old.
I'd like to introduce my friend Pete.
Bill mentioned the girl's name first and showed respect by presenting the boy to her.
Yeah.
You can
Hey,
mention
it's a
either
Potsy.
name first with two boys of the same age.
Bill, this is Pete. Pete Dalton, Bill Anderson.
How do you do, Bill?
I'm great. Let's buy a company.
So the poster that grew out of this practice is included in the exhibit.
Here we go.
And that's how the class
Young
learns
to
that
old,
introductions are
man to
really
woman.
easy. Just
my God.
remember to show respect.
Show respect. That's right. They could just, you know what? Just get rid of those top ones and just put show respect up.
Besides showing respect, your introductions can help the conversation to begin. Notice how Bill's mother introduces her friends, Mr. and Mrs. Hall.
Mrs. Hall, this is Miss Barton, the teacher in this room. Mrs. Hall is Joan Hall's mother.
Miss Barton, as hostess, offers her hand. Next, Mr. Hall is presented to Miss Barton.
We're going to have a key party later
Presented
tonight.
to
Want
Mr.
to come
and Mrs.
over?
Hall. Remember the order? There's a technique to shaking hands.
This is
No one likes to have his
1948.
hand crushed by a bear, nor to clasp
the heck
one
was
like
that?
this, sometimes referred to as dead fish. And so the introductions have been completed, and the group settles down to friendly
That's
conversation.
right. Nobody knew anyone. Anyone was complete strangers. This is the
Well,
first
it's
day they
time
met.
to go now.
Oh, here we
What have
go.
you seen here?
Here's the
That
order of
is,
saying
what have you
goodbye.
seen
Oldest,
besides the
youngest to
posters and
oldest.
Scrapbooks of the exhibit. As you watch the host and hostess, their pleasant manner standing at the door to thank their guests for coming, as you see the guests reply graciously,
Oh, we're very,
you
it was
realize
great.
that it's the
Looking at a
simple
bunch of
thing.
posters. Thanks for
being
having us.
friendly,
Oh,
thinking
God.
of the other person, and showing respect that make up everyday courtesy. Real living courtesy has made the evening a pleasure and a success.
Courtesy the way God intended it! American courtesy! Well, there you have it.